Creators Circle is a weekly call for creators like you to ask your questions about the law of attraction. To get information on how to connect, please go to cocreationcoaching.org/Creators Circle.
Welcome to Creator Circle. This is call number 2. How's everyone doing?
Awesome.
Good.
For sure, awesome. All right, so to start out with, Justin has a story.
Law of attraction story. I was at an arcade last Saturday. It was it's of course a blind man in an arcade. No, but but I was playing skee-ball.
I love that game.
Me too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely love the game. So,
Love that game.
you know, I was getting these scores, just all kinds of scores, different anywhere from like 150 to 220. And I said, wait a minute, but I used to do better at this. I said, wait a minute, and I focused in my mind on scoring 200. I said, I'm going to score 200. And all of a sudden, my scores went up. I was getting 30 and 40 a pop, and I scored 240. I said, let me do it again. Every time I rolled, I just thought 200. And when I wasn't rolling, I didn't think 200. Then I was rolling, I just thought 200. It's like just pulsed it. And the second time I got 230. So I manipulated my score just by shifting reality.
Whoa, that is awesome.
That's really cool.
So cool.
I said, man, it's not even like days later or weeks. It's like, no, right then. The evidence was right then.
Sure. That is amazing. That's actually a really great story. Yeah, that's awesome.
That's what I wanted to call and tell you on Saturday.
Oh.
Wait, what?
Oh, he wanted to call me Saturday.
Oh,
but I was in the middle of a book marathon. In my defense.
So your book marathon outrunning law of attraction success.
It's part of it.
It's not.
It's enjoyable, and therefore it is part of law of attraction.
But no, I really sat there, manipulated the reality right there on the spot.
That is amazing.
I was getting 30, 40,
Wow.
30, 40. I said, yeah, this is working.
That's great. That's really great. Yeah, it fits really well because it shows that manifestation can be instantaneous. And we talk a lot about like next level goals and stuff, but it really shows that manifestation can be instantaneous, and it really doesn't take that much mental control to be able to do that, right? It really doesn't take that much. That's really amazing, though.
Yeah, I thought that was great.
That reminds me, because I've been trying sort of, and I didn't tell you about this, Christine.
Of course not. She doesn't tell me anything.
I've been trying a personal kind of challenge, I guess, because I realized that my thoughts, even still, tend to go towards the negative a lot. Because
You're a cynic.
Yes, I'm cynical.
I'm that way too, though.
And I have anxiety, so that's a bad mixture.
Oh, God, yeah. I know that.
That is a bad mixture, actually. That is a bad mixture.
That's a horrible mixture.
It really is.
So, so I tend to think towards the negative a lot, and my thoughts go there a lot. And I realized kind of what you're saying, manifestation instantaneous. So I started asking myself something like, do I want more of what I'm feeling now? Do I want more of this? Or if not, which usually not, what do I want? What do I want to feel right now? Or what do I want to feel like? What do I want my life to feel like in the near future? And the near future could be 5 minutes from now. I'm not saying like a week or a month or something. Like, what do I want to feel later today or right now or in a few seconds or whatever? And I've been really, really trying to the best of my ability to redirect my thoughts over and over again to what I'd rather be focusing on. I guess it's a pretty simplistic technique, but it's one that I ignore a lot. I don't know how the rest of you are, but I tend to not be so great about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been trying to do that, and it works really well. I haven't had
like a pivot.
like a pivot. I haven't had any like magnificent results or anything. It's just been a slight, and this is what you will get. It's just been overall that things flow better. You know, you can't really do this for like, I mean, you can lead up to it with next level goals, but it's not sufficient on its own. But, you know, I've been trying that, and it really, really seems to help things to flow a lot easier. So I think that's kind of leads into that well, because what you said, we're saying, Justin, about instant manifestation, and you just have to really focus on what you want. Because I think we make a habit of focusing on what we don't want, and then we wonder why, you know, life isn't so great. And so we really have to start making a habit of focusing on the feelings we want to have and the direction we want to be going in life, and not mentally complaining about, you know, what's going on and such. So that's been my challenge for the last couple of days, and it's been going really well. So not long enough really to say exactly any big things that could happen from it, but it's been smoother overall. So it's been really cool. Has anyone else at Chaucer, have you had any experiences with any kind of instant manifestations like that?
I guess like at work, my boss had been a little upset at me last week because I like talk too often, I guess.
Really?
Yeah, I'm super chatty. Everyone's super chatty at work, so that's why I was kind of like a little irked, and I'd been getting really anxious, like, oh, you know, is he like, you know, just gonna be angry at me for a while now? He had seemed a bit annoyed at me, and then I just sort of was like, yeah, I'm making this continue to be a problem the longer I focus on like,
exactly.
And I just decided, okay, I'm gonna manifest a better relationship with my boss. And today was actually a really good day.
Yay!
I took us all out for gelato. And, yeah,
that is awesome.
Yeah, so it was like a small thing, but it was funny how quick it turned once I stopped being worried about it.
Sure, and that's the thing. Like I said, I mean, people tend to think that manifestations have to take forever, but they really don't. You know, they don't have to take that long. It's just when you're working on next level goals, yes, they can take time, but even then they don't have to. Like I've always said, you should see significant results within a month or two. Mm-hmm. You should see at least some results within a week or so. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it definitely comes pretty quickly. I was reading one of Richard Dott's books, Spontaneous Manifestations from Zero. And he was saying he's focused on this theme here and there throughout his books of manifestations don't have to take very long. And he has an exercise where basically you imagine, okay, how long would you expect a manifestation to take? And it might be weeks or it might be months, whatever. Shrink that down to like less than a second and just feel that difference of what if this whole process could happen in like a second or less than a second. And then even smaller, just down to like a single little dot. The whole thing just in one little dot, and it's done. And that's really cool to ponder because it's like, yeah, that can happen. You know,
this.
Yeah.
I asked Archangel Raziel.
Mm-hmm.
I used candle magic to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, you know what? You show me the secrets of the universe or whatever. Go ahead and do that.
Right.
And I have just right then, not only did he open up some stuff for money and employment, he also opened up the 72 magical angels for me.
That is
and
great.
I've got all of that ready to go.
Sure.
So he delivered. I mean,
that's awesome.
And it happened quick. I mean, resumes were getting done, all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
You know, but so it's time to do something else. Time to do another one.
Great. So yeah, things can definitely happen very quickly. Welcome, by the way, to a new caller, Shanika.
Hello, new caller.
Just joined.
Hi.
So,
hello.
So,
I'm sorry. What was the name? I missed
Shanika.
Oh, hey, Shanika.
Hi.
Right, am I pronouncing it right?
I go by Shay. Shay is fine.
Shay? All right.
Shay? Okay.
That's fine.
Cool. So I am open to questions. And I don't mind just talking, but I do want to see if there are questions. So any questions on the law of attraction?
Again, not necessarily a question. We can see if it turns into one. But
okay, go ahead.
Okay. I have been thinking a lot about stress as a manifestation killer because the one goal that I've been working on for a while I've been having a lot of trouble with, and I realized how stressed out about it I've been.
Mm.
And I was just wondering how much of, me having issues with it is just the stress kind of compounding.
Stress will kill it, actually.
Stress can be really bad. It can be really harmful to it. I mean, it depends how severe is the stress.
Oh, it takes over most of my day.
Okay, yeah. I mean, because everyone has like stress here and there. I mean, stress is a part of life.
Yeah.
Here and there. You know what I mean? Like, it's just going to be part of what happens, especially when you're working towards something you really want. But if I guess it's sort of equivalent to what I've talked about with like tension versus resistance, because if it really takes over your life and it really is like most of your day, then it's definitely going to have a negative impact because, I mean, very simplistically, what happens, okay, if you're feeling stress most of the time and if your reality is just a reflection of what you feel, what are you going to get?
Lots more stress.
Lots more stress. More reasons to be stressed too, right?
Yeah.
Because you're magnifying it to yourself.
So this goes back to what I was saying, my challenge to myself, and it can be a challenge to all of you too. Don't focus on what's easy to focus on. That's just going to keep getting what you've always gotten. You're just going to keep going down the same road. Focus on what you want to have. So if you have a reason to stress, okay, fine. You realize, hey, I'm going down a path that I don't really want, namely a stressful path. And so take that and say, you know what? I don't want that path. What path do I want? What does that path feel like to me? What will that path feel like when I'm at the end of it? Remember the blog post about being at the end of the path?
Mm-hmm. What
will that path feel like when I'm at the end of it? And focus there. And just, do it gently. You can do like you were in the Art of Reality Creation class, do like the reality control room kind of exercise where it's like real gentle and you kind of slowly get over to the positive feeling. But, you have to break the thought habit of going where you don't want to go. That's just something you just really, really have to do, because if you don't break that habit, it will come up over and over and over again and more strongly until it just takes over everything.
Mm-hmm. I would almost, if something is doing that to my day, I don't know if I've had a manifestation do that before, but if I do have one that does that, I would actually just stop it. And then because I can't have it, this is just me. I hate actually saying this because I am one about brute force, smash through whatever obstacles are in front of you.
Right.
But I would actually, because I equate a lot of stress to quicksand. And in quicksand, you'll sink. No amount of force will get you through that.
Yeah.
So at that point, I would stop it, and then for a few months, and then I would start it back, and see where. Because sometimes I think it's you get ahead of yourself. Because I've had this happen, where I just get ahead, and the universe and you aren't ready to unite at a certain point. You just aren't. So if you try to push it, you just sort of get diminishing returns.
Right.
And then you let it go for a month or two and you come back to it and all of a sudden it just sort of happens. So, that's just what I've...
Well, but sometimes it can be just not manifestation necessarily, but it could be work that's stressful. It could be all sorts of things that are stressful that you can't really just stop.
I interpreted it as her saying a manifestation was that stressful. If it's not that, then no, you can't just stop it.
Right.
That's just the way I interpreted it, but I could have been wrong.
Right.
It has been a little bit of everything, and like, I mean,
it's life.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of stress with everything, but that's also just sort of how I've operated for a while.
Okay, then that's different. That's different. No, and I apologize, and that's different.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I misinterpreted what you said. Then that's my fault.
Well, no, it's still
no, that's I mean, that's also a fair suggestion, though.
But yeah, when you have a lot of stress, I would just be mindful when it comes up and really deliberately shift your focus elsewhere.
Yeah, because I did sit down and, kind of think about, am I just not supposed to have this? But there's nothing actively, like, in my reality, there's nothing actively blocking it. Like, there are definitely some things that had they happened, I would have been like, okay, fine, let's let this go. But
most stress is just mental.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm just holding current reality in a weird stasis.
Right. Yeah. Most stress is just our fears. Our fears.
Okay.
It's not a real thing. That's the thing to really think about and to realize is it's not really there in current reality. There may not be a reason to be. It's just our interpretation of current reality. It's just our fears about the future and so on. So that's very difficult, but that might be a way to find a way out of it. I mean, one of my favorite techniques, I've mentioned this before, is the work of Byron Katie, asking, is that true? Basically.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's a great one.
That's a good one, man.
Christine hates it.
I like mindfulness when I need to use it. I use mindfulness. And the other thing I do, which we don't talk much about, but, if you're really stressed, I burn frankincense and myrrh, honestly. That helps.
Oh, sure, yeah. You can do all sorts of...
And but that just for me, that just does it. Sure, I can burn something like that.
But mindfulness is great. The work to me is like a drill. Like the mindfulness is sort of a broad focus where it kind of takes off, the stress of everything in general. The work will drill deep into the one specific thing you're focusing on and just remove whatever's going on. Yeah. So it just depends what you want to do. I mean, that's more of like a more direct approach, whereas mindfulness is more indirect, where, you're just letting it go. So it just depends on what you want to do.
Yeah, mindfulness for me, like sitting there staring down, the things you're afraid of and not reacting to them was so hard in the beginning.
It is very hard. Yeah, it is extremely hard, but it's so important. I would not underemphasize mindfulness at all because it is so important.
Oh, yeah.
Vital.
And Brandon pointed out another method to use it. Just pretend you're the blue sky.
Yeah, that
actually makes it a little bit easier to stare those things down.
That's a very common non-dual technique. If you look up Jeff Foster, is a great non-dualistic teacher. He has a lot of stuff on YouTube. And I think he has a book. But anyway, he talks a lot about, you're the awareness, you're the sky, the thoughts of the clouds. The sky isn't affected by the thoughts. That's a great technique for removing yourself. And NLP dissociation is what I've just stepping out of the picture. Mm-hmm. Stepping out. NLP dissociation is a great technique for it too.
Wow.
Because you're literally separating yourself from the picture. You're stepping out of it. You're dissociating from it. You're seeing it kind of in a third-person perspective. Sometimes you can just dissociate twice. One of my favorite NLP techniques, it actually comes from the phobia technique, phobia cure technique, but is basically pretending you're in a movie theater, you're in the projection box, looking at yourself in the seats, looking at the screen where the movie is playing out, the movie of your stress. So it's like double dissociation. That can be useful when it's really strong.
Okay. Sorry if my cat is really loud.
No, it's okay.
We love the cat. I heard the cat earlier. The cat is great.
Her name is Bastet. She's great.
Oh, of course.
That's even better.
Brandon, I have a question about
yes.
For as long as if you guys don't mind, I don't mean
sure.
to cut out the
No.
You guys just commented. I have been hearing the phrase non-dualistic for a very for a decade.
Yeah.
And does that can you guys? I feel like that word gets thrown around a lot, and
yes,
and I also feel like is it just kind of taking on this form of detachment and knowing that there isn't what's good and what's bad, what's healthy, what's unhealthy? What is it? What does all that mean? Is there healthy? Is there unhealthy? Or is it just about saying, okay, this is here, and I'm going to accept that this is here,
right?
But give my attention. Because I find myself seeing something, saying, okay, this is not good for me. This is not what I want. And I fight it and I push it away.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's almost like it gets more power and then it comes back.
Right.
So
yeah.
Can you expand on that? Or are we done? Sorry.
No, we're fine.
No, we're fine.
It's actually a very, very big topic for me, so prepare for rant time.
Yes, sir.
All right, rant time. We're going to take 5 minutes and do this.
Just 5?
Just 5. Okay, we'll take 30 minutes and record 5 minutes.
There you go.
No, but all right, look, so I got into non-duality when I was like 13 years old, 12, 13 years old. It's a big, okay, so Advaita Vedanta is a big school of Hinduism. That's the one I was really interested in. And non-duality, or Advaita, which also literally means non-dual, basically is a school that says there is only, there's only oneness, but technically there is not two. To some non-dual teachers, you can't even say there's one. There's just what is. Okay, so in Hinduism, like they call it Brahman.
Right.
So that's non-duality. Now, here's the thing. So for a long time, I took non-duality to be the be-all, end-all of spirituality. And you'll find a lot of elitism in non-duality. A lot of non-duality and law of attraction, I'm just telling you, are sort of on opposite ends of the spectrum.
Absolutely.
Because non-dual
that's
people,
how I feel.
Yeah, non-dual people kind of scoff at the law of attraction as materialistic and egoic. Law of attraction people kind of scoff at non-duality as, denying the desires and the joys of life. They're sort of at opposite ends, all right? But, so I was in it for a long time. I had a lot of great spiritual experiences, a lot of awakening experiences. The last one was the biggest. I've talked about it here and there in 2014. 14.
Oh, 14, you're right.
And that was very, very significant. It really, really, and maybe sometime I can go into that, but it really did a lot from my perspective. I'll just say that much. So, but here's the thing. I spent about
A little over a year.
About a year after that experience, really significantly deep as you can go into the non-dual experience. And so what I'll tell you that I realized, because it came to an end when I started getting into NLP. When I got into NLP, what I realized was the non-dual perspective is just one valid perspective, but not the only valid perspective. So non-duality basically says we're it, or Brahman, or the one, or whatever is it, and all of us are just illusions. There's not even an I to speak of. It's just an illusion, right? And that can go really, really deep down the rabbit hole if you allow it to.
Yeah.
Really freaky. So, but what I'll tell you is when you get really deep into non-duality, it tends to rob you of desire, and it gets really stagnant. Okay, and what I think most non-dual people do, most non-dual teachers do, is that they still have desires, but they sort of gloss over it as preferences. It's kind of the key word they'll use to say, yeah, this is okay, it's just a preference. But there's still something driving them. Technically speaking, according to the non-dual philosophy, nothing can be driving you, nothing can be pulling you forward, because that's all egoic. Okay? So it gets really dangerous, really boring, sort of, really stagnant, because you don't have, you want to have desires because your soul just is here for that purpose, to want more, but yet you sort of say to yourself, well, if there's no ego, then there's nothing to desire, and there's no one to desire it. So it gets really dangerous. So when I got into NLP, I mixed, I started realizing that was basically dissociative perspective. NLP gives you two perspectives, dissociative and associative. And dissociative is basically the non-dual perspective, where you are just the awareness, the pure consciousness, witnessing reality. Associative is where you step into reality and you fully live it. Both of them are valid, and they're valid for different purposes. Dissociation or mindfulness or pure awareness is valid when you are trying to release resistance or deal with stress or anxiety or whatnot. Association is valid when you really want to enjoy the emotions of the moment and you really want to get into it and you really want to live life and it's really enjoyable. Now,
Okay.
I think the true wisdom is going freely back and forth, not attached to either one, and saying, okay, now I can be associative, now I can be dissociative, whatever, and that's how it is. So it's sort of a both and for me. I do believe in the grand scheme of things that we are all one, and that there is only, one source or one, whatever you want to call it. But I also believe that we've somehow split off from that, even just apparently, and that we're meant to explore everything that is and desire, and we're not meant to try to shut that off or anything. I don't believe that. I don't think that we're meant to shut that all down. So that's basically the difference. I don't know if there's more to your question. Does that basically answer your question, or?
No, I like this. I like this thought process of vacillating between the two, because I do think I like that you said that, Brandon, because
Yeah.
I do think it seems like we can only look to the future so much, and
Right.
we do need to experience the present moment also, right? So it's I like your perspective on that.
Yeah, like someone like Eckhart Tolle who says, live in the present and all that kind of stuff. And that's true, but that also robs you of the future. What if the future is exciting?
Exactly.
What if the future is something you want to focus on? I mean, living in the present is a great thing to do when you're in the middle of a whole ton of resistance.
Mm-hmm.
And you just want to be right here, right now, and that's it, and cut out all the other stimuli. It's all tools. And you know what? You have to be the one in the center using the tools of mindfulness, of dissociation, of association, of desire, of whatever, to get the most out of life that you can. That's what I believe.
You're saying one way or another, but to take that a little further, do you think that when we are associating and having those experiences, is it possible that when we're choosing to have those experiences that they are taking us away from our ultimate goal or dream by experiencing those things in the present moment, even though they're not necessarily tied to what we're attempting to manifest? What's your feeling on that?
Can you rephrase that a little bit?
So I'm saying, let's say something comes into your path that you say, I do want to experience this, but this isn't necessarily my ultimate dream, but I do want to experience this right now, even though I am holding this future dream, right?
I would say have it all. I mean, it's like
you're saying you think it's possible to have both, have what's here now, and
yeah.
Also, okay, this is temporary, but you think that doesn't interfere? That's what I'm saying.
No, not at all.
You think it drag you off the path if you're experiencing that moment, even though it's not exactly what you're planning on manifesting?
No, freely go where you want to go, but just go what is enjoyable to you. If right now the present moment is causing you pain, or usually it's your interpretation of the present moment. But if what's going on right now on the outside is causing you pain, choose on the inside a path that is not painful, that is not that thing. And that is a parallel reality. That's another universe that you can manifest. If the present moment's super enjoyable to you, then have at it and really go deeply into it and enjoy it and experience it fully. I think you should go wherever you want to go. I do think it's a crucial technique to learn how to be mindful, how to be the pure consciousness that you are, and let go of everything else, just because that's the way to let go of everything that's not you, being resistance and stress and anxiety and all that, and then choosing to associate into the reality you want. And that's really what it is. Association is what you're doing when you visualize and when you do all that kind of stuff. So choosing to associate into the reality that you want after, the pure consciousness state is what I call the zero state. If you've been around on the blog for a while, I've mentioned the zero state quite a bit. That's the zero state. And then you associate into the reality you want by feeling the feelings and thinking the thoughts about it and really enjoying that experience from within, and then it manifests without. But let yourself go wherever is enjoyable to you. Just make sure you're doing it deliberately in a way that you're not focused on what you don't want in life. So you're not accidentally growing that.
Great.
Awesome. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So I appreciate everyone who came tonight. That was a great discussion. I'm very passionate about non-duality. So.
You have interesting perspectives about it.
Yeah, I've been around the block on that one.
I'm not one to talk about it because I'm not non-dual. I never was.
Yeah, because
I've used its techniques, but I've found that when you really want to manifest something, non-duality makes it more difficult.
It slows your momentum down quite a bit.
It doesn't.
Well, we're meant to experience on Earth.
Right,
like that's the point.
I guess if you really, really unloaded a lot of resistance, you could do it, but it to me slows you down a little bit. It's not as straight to the point. So, exactly. Right now I'm more in a. I let my non-duality sort of come on its own. So right. I do peaks and valleys, and then when I'm just relaxing or whatever, then that's my non-duality phase.
Right.
I don't seek it because for me, I don't really have to. Right. But when I really want to go deep into it, I'll light up some herbs and go deep into meditation.
That's awesome.
And, then you don't care at that point. It's definite. When you've got mugwort, frankincense, and myrrh going, you're there. You're in that mode.
Exactly.
So
yeah, I get it.
That's kind of the way I do it. But
right. Yeah, it's definitely useful to go, like I said, use the tools, but don't go too deeply into it. You go where you want to go, and that's what really matters.
Yeah,
so
and do it deliberately, like Brandon said, because I found a lot of people will do things. I'm just living in the moment, but they're really trying to do things in a reverse order. Like I don't want this, so I'm going to do a lot of it. Or it's weird. It's like, or I really don't want to be this and this and this, so I'm going to go very hard against it and go do something so different that I'm going to just invite that other thing in there anyways. So when you actually do things deliberately, a lot of the stuff that you will experience in the moment, you will naturally only experience the things that are going to largely help you. Right. Because you're deliberately choosing that.
Because it's deliberate.
Right. So the things you do experience in the moment are going to actually help you be a part of your ultimate manifestation most of the time, because you've deliberately decided to experience that line of stuff. Or if you do experience something outside of it, it's just going to be a very quick, enjoyable experience, and it's not going to pull you away from it really, because you're deliberate.
Mm-hmm.
I like this word deliberate and all of that, because it really changes things completely.
You have to be deliberate. I think so many of us just go with where the mind wants to go, but that's just going to get you what you've always gotten. You have to be deliberate and go where you want to go, where you choose to go, and not just accept what life brings you. Mm-hmm. I mentioned, where was it? I mentioned this isn't going with, I think it was last week's call actually. You're not going with the flow. You're going against the flow. You're creating a new flow.
Yeah. You're creating your own flow and going with that.
Right. Create your own flow. Make your own path. That's what you're doing. It's deliberate. It's difficult, but once you create the path, it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a wonderful discussion. I really appreciate everyone participating. And thank you. For those who are listening to the recording, once I post it, it'll be up in a few days. Those who are listening to the recording, if you want the transcript, be sure to sign up for the mailing list. The transcript will be sent out. I'm making that private now. And so that will be sent to you. But I hope everyone enjoyed this, and I some great discussions today.
Definitely.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye.